Connectivity doesn't just involve personal devices. In fact, a lot of the buzz these days is centered around its use in precision agriculture. That's, again, precision agriculture. Cool term. We're going to learn a lot about it in a second. Here to discuss how farmers can rely on smart technology, I'm joined by John May, Chair and CEO of John Deere. John, I love John Deere, and thank you. It's great to be here. But I think this element of human connectivity is definitely the avant-garde moment for a lot of folks that are watching and listening, because they think about cities and they think about, all the connectivity and sensors and data that are flowing there. But tell us how human connectivity is transforming opportunities in the farming sector. I should remind our audience, 90% of farms are private family-held farms in America. It's still a big deal out there, but tell us how that world is changing.
Yeah, great point. First of all, our objective as a company and our strategy is we want to leverage technology, advanced technologies, and data in particular to make our customers more productive, more profitable, and help them do the jobs they do in a more environmentally stable way. And data and connectivity plays a very, very critical role in that. If we can't have machines connected, it's very difficult for us to optimize the performance of the machines, optimize the overall jobs that our customers are doing. By having access on board to what's happening on the machine, we can help the customers do the jobs better than they can do today. We also can pull a tremendous amount of data off the machines and put it in hands of professionals like agronomists who can help the customers make better agronomic decisions. And we're talking a lot of data here. If you look at what we transfer in data per day, we're transferring about a terabyte of data per day from these connected machines in farm fields, which is around 200,000 5-minute songs or 500 hours of movies every single day. That's 30 million data packets each day are coming off these machines that then we have the ability to add value to, push back to the machines and improve the performance in the field.
John, let me go one step further. I love how you describe this, but let's imagine we're in rural Indiana or we're in rural Maryland, Eastern Shore of Maryland, giant farms out there. I see them when I'm driving out. What kind of machines are there that are both driven and informed by data, and how do you see conservation being embedded in this process? Can you give our audience a little bit of feel for that kind of farming and environmental stewardship?
Absolutely. I'll give you one example. If you think right now within the state of Indiana that you're talking, they've gone from planting, they've completed the step of planting, and now they're caring for the crop. They're doing application work today, and they're using our advanced technology called ExactApply that has the ability to differentiate between healthy plants and weeds, and only spray eventually, this will be the next generation of this technology, only spray just the weed and avoid the healthy plant. That has a 90% reduction in herbicide. And a human by themselves, when you have a 120-foot boom, in every 30 inches, you've got a nozzle. It's impossible to manage each individual nozzle by themselves. So we use computer vision, we use onboard computing, we use advanced satellite guidance systems, and then telematically enabled devices to do that job for the customer in a way that they can't perform it individually.
Look, for a long time, John, I used to go just as a hobby because I found it fascinating. I would go visit some of these farmers, and they would be, in soy, or they would be in crown, or they would have, other forms of large fields they were responsible for. And they were like scientists, and they were very tuned into data and weather. And it's one of the dimensions here that I think often gets neglected. But when it comes to the policy side of this new world of connectivity to ag, and smart ag, if you will, I don't know if that's the right term, but that's how I would call it, but smart ag, what is missing, or what should the public policy world be aware of that would help us make this transition, more uniformly and less unevenly?
Yeah, great question. If you figure in the U.S., and these numbers are rough, but 1 in 10 people don't have access to the internet, whether that's through cellular connectivity or through another way to connect. But when you take that to the farm field, that percent becomes a lot higher. So we have a lot of areas in the very productive states here in the United States that grow a lot of the grain that feeds the world that aren't connected. And because they're not connected, they don't have the ability to leverage a lot of our tools. I'll give you a great example. We have a technology right now called Combine Advisor. And that combine, as it's going through the field, harvesting the crop, is sensing all the variables you mentioned, weather, humidity, all the different variables. And it's talking to the cloud and saying, give me advice on how to optimize myself right now. And that combine, when it gets that connection and it can get that advice, it can outperform the best operator in the world. Unfortunately, there's places here in the Midwest where that connectivity doesn't exist and that customer can't benefit from that technology.
Do you think, John, because I know you're partnered, your company is so huge, you're partnered with universities and everything. I'm wondering where we are in ag science, because we're talking about, a new realm that I think a lot of our audience may not have heard about, but there's kind of a kind of required new literacy in this area. Are we producing the human capital to be part of this in the farming sector? There's a lot of, I think, people look at advancements, they have not looked at the agricultural sector as one that's essentially high tech. And we're hearing the high tech story from you, but it makes me wonder whether we're making the human capital investments that we need in our system. So what are your thoughts?
It's a great question. In agriculture, we've been using guidance for the last 20 years, whether you're in a combine, you're in a tractor or sprayer, they're driving themselves right now today 100% by themselves. But new technologies like computer vision, advanced algorithms, artificial intelligence, that's the new technology that we're leveraging to go from managing a complete field, a cornfield, to managing every individual plant in order to maximize yield and make sure that farmer can produce more to feed a growing world. We do need more investments in those areas. We're working with universities here in the Midwest, a lot of universities in the West Coast. We acquired a artificial intelligence company out in Silicon Valley to help accelerate those efforts for us. But it's certainly an area where, as a country, we need to continue to invest, because artificial intelligence is going to take not just agriculture to the next level of performance, it'll take other industries there as well.
John, just finally, in this area of precision agriculture, which I just love this conversation, and smart farming in the future, one of the things that's glaring right now at us is this heat wave at this moment it's really just an incredibly historic level of drought or burnout in the Northwest of the United States, where there's also a lot of agriculture, a lot of farming. And I feel that this is going to be a precursor of other highly unusual every once in a century kind of moments. Is the survival strategy out of this the world that you're describing? How can certainty and probability in agricultural output survive some of the climate behaviors we're seeing in America and around the world right now?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because unless we move from managing a farm field from the farm level to the individual plant level, we'll never get there. And that's the whole path we're on. When we have the ability to manage every individual plant and the environment that plant is experiencing, whether it's a lack of water issue, a soil fertility issue, and then by using large sets of data, or even using a production system prior to planting, like say tillage, where we know exactly where the moisture is in that field, we can adjust the seed rates in order to ensure the best outcome possible based on those conditions. I think precision ag is going to play the key role in dealing with these environmental challenges that we're going to face around the globe. When you can manage every individual plant, you can try to manage out the variables that plant's dealing with.
John, just real quick, I'm going to slip in one more question here, make my producers upset. But before you became CEO of John Deere, you dealt with Australia, the Americas. You have a global understanding of what's going on there. Your company is transnational. Is there anybody out there that's ahead of the United States in this? Are we pretty well set? What are some of the examples globally that you think we ought to be aware of, if there are any? Or is the United States pretty well situated as the leader in this sector?
Yeah, the United States definitely is leading, and a lot of reasons why we're leading is we don't have some of the key constraints that some of the other markets have. And let's use Australia. You mentioned Australia. They get a fraction of the amount of moisture we get each year in the U.S. So they have to farm with lots and lots of data and make financial decisions based on how much moisture is in the ground, what the heat units are that they're dealing with, and then try to either reduce input cost or put more input cost into the equation in order to maximize the best outcome for that particular year based on those variables. They have a much more of a challenge than we do, certainly in the U.S. In the U.S., I think our opportunity is to get to that plant level and then, treat every field, every plant as a unique opportunity to maximize yield. And a lot of farmers are doing it here, and they're very successful at it.
Well, John May, Chairman of the Board and CEO of John Deere and Company, really a pleasure. You're welcome to come back anytime. I love science, particularly in kind of parts of the corner we don't talk much about as much as we should here, particularly in Washington in the agricultural sector. Thank you for all the things you're doing and look forward to you coming back.
Thank you. And I'd love to have you come to one of our test farms and show you all this technology and give you a chance to experience it. Thank you.
You've got a deal. You've got a deal. Well, that brings us to the end of our program today. A very big thank you to our sponsor, NCTA, the Internet and Television Association, for its support, and to all of you attendees for joining this discussion. For any of you who missed the conversations, we're going to have the video up from the entire event up on our website shortly. I'm Steve Clemons. Be well.